The church bells never rang. Instead, the only sound anyone could hear was the sharp gasp that escaped hundreds of stunned guests as the bride stepped backward, tears filling her eyes, while another woman wrapped her hands around the groom's face and kissed him right there at the altar. For one impossible heartbeat, the entire world stood still. Then someone screamed. But the truth behind that kiss wasn't betrayal. It was the greatest act of love either of them had ever made. Before we begin this unforgettable journey, if you love heartfelt romance stories filled with second chances, emotional twists, and unforgettable endings, please take a moment to like this video, comment, share it with someone who believes in true love, and subscribe to Dream Porch Tales. And tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We'd love to know. Sometimes life changes because of a promise made years before anyone realizes what it truly meant. For Evelyn Harper, promises had always been sacred. She had grown up in the quiet little town of Cedar Hollow, where everyone knew every family, every heartbreak, and every happy ending. Her parents owned the town bookstore, and while other children dreamed about leaving, Evelyn found comfort among weathered novels and stories that reminded her love wasn't always loud. Sometimes it arrived quietly, disguised as friendship. That was how she met Amelia Brooks. They were 12 years old when Amelia marched into the bookstore carrying a stack of library books taller than herself, insisting she had already read every mystery in town. Evelyn laughed so hard she nearly dropped the books she was shelving. From that day forward, they became inseparable. They survived high school heartbreaks together, college applications, family illnesses, first apartments, and impossible dreams. Amelia was fearless, adventurous, and impossible not to love. Evelyn was thoughtful, steady, and always the one who stayed when everyone else left. Everyone believed they balanced each other. Even they believed that. Years later, Amelia met Nathan Cole, a handsome architect who had returned to Cedar Hollow after losing his father. He was kind, patient, and deeply devoted to family. He restored old homes instead of tearing them down because he believed memories deserved second chances. Evelyn admired him immediately, maybe a little too much, but she buried those feelings before they had a chance to grow. Some loves, she believed, weren't meant to be spoken. She stood beside Amelia through every step of the engagement. She helped choose flowers, addressed invitations, planned rehearsal dinners, and listened to endless conversations about seating charts and honeymoon destinations. Every smile she gave her best friend was genuine. Every ache she carried stayed hidden. The week before the wedding, Amelia unexpectedly knocked on Evelyn's front porch long after midnight. She looked exhausted, terrified. "I need you to save my wedding." Those words echoed in Evelyn's mind for days. Amelia confessed she had discovered someone intended to ruin everything. Anonymous messages had begun arriving, filled with lies claiming Nathan had been secretly meeting another woman. Old photographs had been mailed to family members. Gossip spread through Cedar Hollow faster than wildfire. Nathan denied every accusation. His eyes held only confusion. Evelyn believed him. She quietly began searching for answers herself, determined to protect the two people she loved most. What she uncovered shocked everyone. The photographs were years old. The mysterious woman was Nathan's cousin, whom he had helped care for after a difficult divorce. Someone had deliberately cropped every image to hide the truth. The anonymous messages came from Amelia's former fiancé, a bitter man who had never accepted losing her years earlier. By the rehearsal dinner, Evelyn had gathered enough evidence to expose everything. The lies collapsed overnight. Nathan's reputation was restored. The wedding would continue. Everyone praised Evelyn for saving the celebration. But no one noticed the quiet sadness hiding behind her relieved smile. The wedding day arrived beneath glowing summer lights strung across the church garden. White roses framed every aisle. Children laughed while chasing butterflies. Families reunited. The whole town seemed wrapped in hope. Nathan waited at the altar with nervous excitement. Amelia appeared at the end of the aisle looking breathtaking. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of walking immediately toward Nathan, she turned. She looked directly at Evelyn, her eyes filled with tears. She slowly walked across the garden, not toward her groom, but toward the woman who had stood beside her for nearly 2 decades. Confusion spread across every face. Before Evelyn could ask what was happening, Amelia gently placed both hands on her cheeks and kissed her. Not with romance, not with betrayal, but with gratitude so overwhelming that words could never have carried it. It lasted only a second, yet it silenced an entire crowd. When she stepped back, Amelia smiled through tears. She whispered softly that no one else could hear. She told Evelyn that people spend their lives searching for someone who never gives up on them. She had already found that person years ago. She wanted the entire town to know that before she married the man she loved. Because heroes deserve to be seen. Nathan walked toward them with tears in his own eyes. Instead of anger, he hugged Evelyn. He thanked her for protecting not only his reputation, but the family they were about to build. He admitted he had known for months that Evelyn carried quiet feelings she had never spoken aloud. Not because she wanted to steal him, because she loved her best friend enough to let happiness belong to someone else. That kind of sacrifice, he said, deserved respect, not pity. For the first time in years, Evelyn allowed herself to cry. Not because she had lost something, but because she finally understood she had never truly been invisible. After the ceremony, the reception overflowed with music, laughter, homemade pies, children dancing barefoot on the grass, and neighbors celebrating beneath thousands of tiny lights. Late that evening, while everyone gathered around the bonfire, Evelyn slipped away toward the old wooden dock overlooking Cedar Lake. She watched moonlight shimmer across the water. She thought about every dream she had quietly buried. Then someone sat beside her. His name was Grant Mercer. He owned the local wildlife rescue outside town and had spent most of the reception entertaining children with stories about rescued hawks and foxes. He smiled gently. "I've been trying to find the courage to talk to you all night." Evelyn laughed softly. "Tonight seems like terrible timing." Grant shook his head. "I think it's perfect timing." He admitted he had noticed her months earlier while volunteering at the community library. He admired the way she remembered everyone's names, helped lonely children discover books they loved, and always stayed behind after charity events to clean up when everyone else went home. She had spent so many years helping others write beautiful endings. He wondered if anyone had ever tried helping write hers. For the first time in longer than she could remember, someone was choosing her. Not because she rescued them, not because they needed saving, simply because they saw her. Over the following months, Grant and Evelyn slowly built something neither of them rushed. Morning coffee turned into long hikes through autumn forests. Volunteer projects became weekend traditions. Christmas dinners blended 2 families who welcomed each other with open arms. Love arrived quietly, exactly the way Evelyn had always believed it would. One spring afternoon, nearly a year after Amelia's wedding, Grant proposed beneath the giant oak tree beside the Cedar Hollow bookstore, where 2 little girls had once become lifelong friends. Amelia cried harder than anyone. Nathan stood proudly beside Grant. The entire town celebrated once again. Because sometimes the greatest love story isn't about losing the person you thought you wanted. It's about discovering the person who had been walking toward you all along, while life quietly prepared both your hearts. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. If you believe true love can appear when we least expect it, comment below. Love still finds a way. And remember, if this story touched your heart, Please support Dream Porch Tales by liking this video, sharing it with someone special, and subscribing for more emotional romance stories filled with hope, healing, and unforgettable second chances. As the seasons continued changing in Cedar Hollow, visitors often admired the beautiful photographs hanging inside the old bookstore. One picture always captured the most attention. It showed two women embracing moments before a wedding, both smiling through tears, while a grateful groom stood only a few steps away. People often guessed it marked some dramatic scandal. Those who knew the truth simply smiled and said it captured something much rarer than romance alone. It captured loyalty, sacrifice, forgiveness, and the extraordinary kind of friendship that makes real love possible. And perhaps that is life's greatest miracle, that hearts brave enough to let go often become the very hearts that finally find home.